we're going second here, and my opponent took quite a while deciding on their starting hand. Looks like they kept 3 cards, so that kind of implies maybe they have a better position. I was kind of wondering if they had a bad position. That's why it was taking them so long to figure out what they wanted to do, but I kind of suspect that this yellow-bellied sapsucker is going to go. It's a good food-gaining bird. They did keep the worm and the cherry, and it also lines up with the round 1 goal there. We could grab the kingbird in response, but they'll just play that sapsucker before we're able to get the kingbird on the ground. Barn swallow is always good. We're going to want that. Habitat with the fewest birds and diet specialist. I think we'll go with ecologist. What is our wetland option? It is not looking good. Maybe it is going to be that kingbird in the wetlands. Maybe it's barn swallow in the wetlands. Barn swallow draw gambit. Maybe we keep the European robin here for our food gaining bird. Maybe we should just go with that. Alright, let's roll with this. So my opponent did grab the sapsucker. Bird feeder is looking kind of balanced. I think I am going to grab this kingbird here to just try to get ahead of their forest development as much as possible. So there we see my opponent playing the sapsucker. Now this is kind of odd timing. I can place the robin, then I don't have food for my kingbird. They could gain food and take 1 worm. I really need a worm to be in the bird feeder when I take the gain food action. So unless they discard an extra card, I should be able to secure my worm. My opponent did gain food as I planned. They got 2 worms here. I wonder if that's a swallow. Violet green swallow. Let's take our worm and a second worm. So they haven't laid eggs here yet, so they can't play their second forest bird. So we're going to be able to get this kingbird down ahead of that. There they laid their eggs. Let's get our kingbird down. They gained food again. So that's a rat they grabbed. Hopefully that's not a raven coming. Let's get our swallow down, and I don't think we're going to have a card to tuck on it. But we do need to get eggs on the cavity nest for the round goal. I could just draw a single card here, and if we get a bad card, that'll actually make our swallow activation better, our grassland activation better. So we did get a worm, and they played black woodpecker. So they're really going for hard food production. And they have another cavity nest here, so they burned up their rat. Looks like they don't have any good wetland development here, but I don't know if that means they're holding on to a killdeer or Franklin's gull for round 2. There's a fish in a bird feeder. That's going to be very telling whether they grab that fish or not. So I think I'm just going to grab a card here. And that is a garbage card we can tuck under the swallow. And then we will lay eggs and get on the board for the round goal. And they're going to have to lay eggs twice here if they want to win this round goal. And I might actually just spend this worm to get 3 eggs. So they have 1 activation left. They have to lay eggs again here. So I'm going to spend the food to force them to lay eggs again here. That's a very inefficient activation for them. So I think I might take the Sprog's Pipit here, because round 2 is eggs in cavity nests, but Eleanor's Falcon is a bigger bird. It does have a ground nest, and it can be my second body in the wetland. So I might actually take this. They're thinking pretty hard about this. They must be wondering whether they want to just tie or win the round goal. They probably want to gain food. That fish might be looking pretty desirable to them if they have Franklin's Gull. So they did lay their eggs. So let's see. I need a worm and a rat for my falcon. So they are going to win the round goal. I think I'm actually just going to draw cards here again. And now that they've committed to eggs, I can spend an egg and still be on the same ground as I was before. So let's spend an egg here. Let's grab the Sprog's Pipit. Ash-throated, not great. And what's in the tray for us? Nothing too amazing. The Northern Bobwhite is probably a card I should go for here. It's a ground nest. Throw that down in our grasslands. Spend second egg here. And I could go for the Snowy Owl. I should probably grab that as well to deny that for my opponents. Good bonus card bird. And I flipped up White Stork for my opponent. Well, that's disturbing. And as expected, they grabbed the White Stork. So now we're going to have to race that. I think we got some card draw in our grasslands as well with the Barn Swallow. And they're going to be able to just gain food here, get the fish, and scoop up a bunch of worms to play that stork. But they're severely limited on their egg space, and they still don't have a ground nest. They probably are going to grab that Savannah Sparrow and then try to do a double play with the stork. So let's gain wheat for our bobwhite quail, and we can discard the flycatcher here. Let's reroll. No extra wheat. That's a bummer because we could have got the third one for our bobwhite here. So let's actually take a rat, and then we'll take another rat so we can play the Snowy Owl into the wetlands. We have the gain food action from our opponent. We could get another bird feeder reroll here. I think I'm actually going to gain food here, and I might discard this falcon. Let's try to get the wheat for our bobwhite here. And we got it. So there's 2 wheat, and we'll pick up the third wheat from our robin. My opponent gained more food. They did leave the Savannah Sparrow, so they're just sucking up all the worms here. They could still be going for some type of double play with a bluebird. So let's throw down our bobwhite. We see Housefinch from our opponent. That's bad news to pair with the White Stork. For us, it's bad news. So let's lay eggs, and I'm going to skip the Barn Swallow here because I want to play both these birds. And they have a Mockingbird as well, so they're going to be able to repeat their Stork or Housefinch. Unbelievable. Wetland scientist. That's not going to work out for us, I don't think. So that was a brick. Let's draw the card. This collar dove, I wonder if it might not be good for my opponent, but I don't know that I'm going to deny it here. And that is bad. So we're going to now pressure this round goal. My opponent doesn't have any ground nest, so we should win this goal comfortably. So there's the stork, so things are not looking good for us here. We're entering into the second half, so it might just have been too slow for my opponent to get this up and running. But time will tell, I suppose, here. Horned lark, I don't think that's going to do much for us. And at best, the lark will get us 2 tucks. I think it's really worth it. Common yellowthroat is something I really could have used earlier. So we won that handily. We see a turtle dove. My opponent might grab this gold crest for the nest space. And that'll give us a worm off our kingbird. Turtle dove is pretty good. Lazuli bunting could be good because my opponent is going to be filling up with eggs fairly quickly, but we kind of are as well. Bird feeder's looking pretty janky right now. So my opponent is dominating this tray with the white stork, mockingbird, housefinch. They do reveal the goldfinch here. Think I will draw that. Blackbird is not good. I really need my opponent to flip this bird feeder over. So my opponent just keeps repeating their white stork here. Just trying to cycle and find the best cards they can find. We do see a violet-green swallow here. We do want that, and we don't want them to have it. So let's lay some eggs. And let's cycle to get the swallow. Revealing the dark-eyed junco for my opponent, so maybe they're going to want to play that. They certainly have plenty of cards in hand to feed to it and get extra wheat and food production for their grasslands, so hopefully things are going to be difficult for my opponent. I really don't know what to say right now. They just really have an incredible engine here, and the deck keeps favoring them, so we'll keep fighting. I really should get this goldfinch down as soon as possible. That should be my first play. I can get it down in the forest for ecologist. So my opponent lays more eggs. So they're just able to successfully stall out this bird feeder as well. And now I'm in a position where I really need to get food here. Let's keep the pipit. Let's get rid of the lark. Let's grab the rat. Let's re-roll. Let's take that wheat. Then we'll take a wheat. And we're going to force down this goldfinch into the forest to start putting a dent, canceling out this housefinch of my opponent. And they just have the luxury of filling up their hand for the round goal, and if they draw with how many cards they're seeing, that's 6, 7 cards they're seeing with the repeated white stork, they could find one of the big tucking eagles, stockpile their hand for the round goal, and then just play those big eagles in round 4. So my opponent now took the opportunity to gain food since I flipped the bird feeder. We'll throw down our housefinch. My opponent gained more food, so they're really just stockpiling food now for round 4. They've filled up their hand with choice cards, thanks to the repeated white stork. They've filled up on eggs. Now they're just going to gain food for dropping a bunch of birds in round 4. And I probably need to get this swallow down. So thankfully we got a worm here. And my opponent got the snow bunting, so we're counteracting each other's tucking bird. That's just what happens when anyone sees just so many cards like my opponent is seeing here. You just expect them to get the best cards. So we have snow bunting versus goldfinch. Thankfully, I have 2 tucking birds in my grasslands in order to come out positive over my opponent's snow bunting. The same can't be said for them unless they now take the opportunity to repeat their housefinch. But they would be getting cycles and I would be getting just points, so they're probably coming out better on that exchange. And my opponent has tons of food and tons of cards in hand, so it's not looking that great. They needed to get a wetland bird down for the round 4 goal. So let's start laying our eggs. We'll tuck the pipit. Let's take the flycatcher. And let's tuck the flycatcher. And we'll deny the Vireo and hopefully not reveal anything incredible for my opponent. They're tucking on their snow bunting. We have a little bustard for my opponent, so they get an extra bonus card. Let's continue to lay eggs. Black-headed gull would have been amazing much earlier in the game. So there we have a nice big bald eagle for my opponent. They're trying to pressure this round goal. Bee eater for my opponent, building out their nest space. I kind of expected them to throw down a couple more wetland birds and wind up winning this round goal, but maybe that's what they're trying to do, is gain they're going to repeat the bee eater with a mockingbird, hopefully pick up 2 worms and play another bird here and then lay eggs on it to win the round goal. But we'll see. We're coming up pretty short here on our nest space. We'll probably end up having a very bad last turn here. We'll see what happens. Setties. And what do we got? House Wren. We could play House Wren for 0 points. We pick up a point from our goldfinch. And we're just going to have a bummer last turn here. We are out of egg spaces, but we will tuck. To score 2 points, and really we're only gaining net 1 over our opponent. Looks like my opponent did a double play at the end here. Well, if you like that action, please hit the like button. I'd really appreciate it. Thumbs up for White Stork. And I'm not feeling too confident here. Well, we'll see how it goes. Came back on eggs. And 98 to 85. Good game to my opponent.